Hi sir, here is my presentation for Sprint 2. So for this video, the contents will be very much similar to the PDF document wherein I will be talking about each of the artifacts, 6 artifacts. So since Scrum aims to complete a certain output or product, I choose to define the product and output to be create a website, create a Scrum artifacts, and create presentation videos. Now, for the next artifact, firstly, for the product backlog, where I would create user stories for the product I am to create, the nouns that I used were as a student, since the output and product for this sprint is a type where it's a school setting where I have to submit something. And since I am to create a website, another noun that I use would be as a user pertaining to the future users of the website. Then, I measure the user stories value based on the importance to the sprint by value points. Some user stories that have high value points are colored with a green shade in the table to indicate its importance. Now, for the next artifact, the sprint backlog, I just used the user stories from the product backlog and evaluated them, and came up with some tasks and listed them down in the sprint backlog so that I could satisfy the user story. The values from the sprint backlog is related to the original user story to identify which I should prioritize. Now, for the next artifact, the sprint planning, which contains all the things that I have to do for this sprint, I just used the tasks from the sprint backlog and queued them up accordingly and arranged them according to which I'll do first. I then added a task precedence column, which is a super straightforward way for me to be guided on which tasks I'll have to do. Now, for the next artifact, which is the daily scrum, I just listed down the tasks based from the preceding scrum artifacts and used it every day as a checklist and tracker for which task I'll have to do. As of recording this video, the only task that I'll have to do are 3 more tasks. Now, for the next artifact, which is a sprint review, I just listed down the products or outputs that I have declared and identified earlier and just did a fairly simple and straightforward review where I just reviewed the products that was successfully finished and created. Then, for the next and last artifact, I just asked these 3 main questions to have a retrospection and reflection on what I did during this sprint. The first one was what went well in the sprint, and the next for the improvement, and then about what I chose to commit to improve for the next sprint. And that would be all for my Scrum presentation.